Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Alba Mar, me pueden decir Alba. El canal se llama Seriela, estamos aquí para hablar de libros, algunos de ellos en español desde Puerto Rico. Hello, my name is Alba Mar, you may call me Alba. Channel name is Seriela. We're here to talk about books and some of them in Spanish from Puerto Rico. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you about this book today. The book that I'm going to talk about is Daughters of the Stone by Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa, published by Thomas Dunn Books, an imprint of St. Martin's Press, in 2009. Now, this book is very significant to me as a Puerto Rican because very few books have Afro-descendant main characters. And if any of my Puerto Rican or diasporican readers can show me otherwise, I would be very grateful for the information. The only other authors, and they happen to be women, that I know that have written with Black or Afro-descendant main characters in their novels have been Mayra Santos Febres and Yolanda Pizarro, both of whom are also Black Puerto Rican authors. So that's why this book, to me, is significant as far as novels set in Puerto Rico go, written by people of Puerto Rican extraction, as is Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa. This book was shortlisted in 2010 for the Penn Book Prize, Robert W. Bingham Prize, and I can see why. It is a very engaging book, kept me after the first few pages because, you know, I'm used to reading novels about Puerto Rico in Spanish. So after that first, you know, initial shock, like of cold water, in which I'm reading a novel about Puerto Rico in English, I immediately, you know, settled in. The writing is, you know, is propulsive. You know, it just sucked me in completely. What is it about? This is a book about 5 generations of women. From that first enslaved Black woman that arrived in Puerto Rico with a very special stone. That's why the subsequent generations are called daughters of the stone. And that stone has a very special significance and has a very special gift, a different gift, spiritual gift, for each of the generations of subsequent women. And it starts off with that first woman, Fela, in a sugar plantation on the northern coast of Puerto Rico. And it was so satisfying for me to see how well the author depicted the sugar economy and how dependent it was on the global markets and how dependent it was on Cuban competition, right? And that was good to see. That was very good to see. So I felt immediately at home and secure that the author was very well versed in her history of Puerto Rican economy at the time and during the rest of the novel. And we start with Fela, and her daughter was Mati, then comes Concha, then comes Elena. And the one I most identified with was Carissa. I identified so much with the final contemporary character because we had very similar experiences. And so much so that I have to thank, before I forget, thank Didi from Brown Girl Reading and her Read Soul Lit Club, which is why I had the opportunity of reading this book. And there was a Zoom conference, a Zoom chat with the author that we had. Very, very engaging, wonderful, very gracious person. And very gracious to me and kind, because her depiction of the last character, I identified with her so much that I even asked questions as if the author was that character, Carissa, and she had to remind me that Carissa was a fictional character. She did it so well. I identified with her because that final character was brought up in the United States after all those generations of changes in Puerto Rican history. And that final character, Carissa, was brought up in the United States and came back to Puerto Rico, much as I did, and went to the University of Puerto Rico, much as I did, and saw the same kind of things that I saw when I came. She captured that experience and that identity, culture shock and identity shock so very well. At the same time, what is so important about this book also, besides the fact that, it deals with main characters of Afro-descendancy, the fact that each of these women employed their gifts with skill, with creativity, with agency, with courage, for themselves, for their family, and for their community, was a wonderful thing to see. We're not talking about the help here, which is where I see a lot of Black characters in Puerto Rican novels, and I just read 2 in which I saw that playing out. No, we're not talking about the help here. We're talking about enterprising women who could use their gifts to the benefit of their families and their community. This was originally published, as I said, in 2009, but this edition is, it was reprinted in 2019, copyrighted to the author. And we didn't get to talk about that too much on the Zoom conversation, and I hope that the next time we speak, because she's going to have a second book coming out. This is a series. This is the first of a series. She even has a title for book number 2. It's called A Woman of Endurance. And for my Spanish reading subscribers, the translation in Spanish of this is coming out very, very soon. It's being translated as we speak. So yeah, let's look for for that Spanish edition of this book, and then book number 2 in the series of Daughters of the Stone, which is going to be titled A Woman of Endurance. But I'm interested in knowing the story behind the second publication of this book. From 2009 to 2019, what happened? Yeah, this was such a good book. Such a good book. I have a tiny quibble, though. It's not available on Overdrive. And I searched for it on Overdrive, and I searched for it also online at the Brooklyn Public Library, and couldn't find it. So that's another question that I have for the author. Maybe someday I'll be able to ask it, because I know so many people would be interested in reading this book in either language, Spanish or English. It was so wonderful how she captures the transitions and the changes in each generation, and each character is so well developed, so well developed. I identified more with the final character, but each and every character in each and every generation was wonderful. I also appreciated the porch stories. Yes, the final character, Carissa, dedicates much of her time to compiling the stories of the elder women in the neighborhood. And it was a wonderful way of showing that everyone has a story to tell. I really hope that everybody can pick up this book. I will link the author's website, and down in the show notes and up here, her website, so that you can ask for the book. And please ask your library, your local library, to get the book if they don't have it. And yeah, and let's see if we can get it on Overdrive. And be on the lookout for the Spanish edition. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to book number 2. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Oh, I have another story to go with this. I remember back about 2 years ago when I finished reading Homegoing. I'll link the author down below. And I really enjoyed Homegoing. And I remember mentioning to my daughter that I wished somebody had written a similar type of saga about Puerto Rico. And I didn't know that 6 years prior to the publication of Homegoing, Daughters of the Stone was that very same book that I had wanted to read. A saga, a multi-generational saga, starting in Africa and finishing in Puerto Rico. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book. A toda mi gente de Puerto Rico, busquen este libro, ya sea en inglés o en español. Telling my people in Puerto Rico to pick this book up either in Spanish or in English, because it is a wonderful, wonderful book. Thank you, Dahlma Llanos-Figueroa, for this book. And I'm waiting for the next one. Cuídense mucho, mi gente. Sigan leyendo. Take care, everybody. Keep on reading. Adios.